This is a perfect example of what it can look like when you increase your income but don't have your spending under control. They have $16,000 that they owe to credit cards, $166,000 that they owe to loans, $66,000 of that is cars. Now they could sell or trade in the cars, but it would depend if they're upside down on those and if they'd have to replace them with another car. Their monthly income is $16,648 and their expenses are $15,709. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. If I had $16,000 a month, I wouldn't have a problem. But if you have a spending problem now, that doesn't just go away by adding more income. So this leaves them with $939 left over for the month that they can use to pay down debt. We already looked through this budget to see where we could cut back on the spending. I would try to take about $300 out of the home expenses, $400 to $500 out of the miscellaneous spending. I would lower the savings amount to about $400 a month just so something is being put up, and make sure that you do not touch that amount. That frees up $650 there. And then we could probably free up $125 here in the medical category. And this is on top of the $939 that they had before we cut any spending. So just to be safe, let's say they free up $2,300 just by cutting back on the spending. That's the number that we're going to be working with. In the next 8 to 12 months, they can free up quite a bit of cash flow if they focus on getting some of these loans paid off. Their credit card debt is so much less than what their loan payments are, so I would not worry about that at this point. Now I've listed these 4 loans here because they are the loans with the highest payments and the lowest balances. So month number 1, remember we had $2,300 cash flow that they can pay off debt. So they have $521 that they have to pay to get caught up on a loan payment. They're already paying $600 to the IRS debt here, which would leave about $1,200 that they have to pay. This would leave $579 left over for month number 2. So month number 1, we've already eliminated this $600 a month payment here. So for month 2, we have the $2,300 that we started with, plus the $600 from the IRS payment that we no longer have to make because we paid it off here, plus the $579 here that we could transfer over into the next month. So let's say we have about $3,400 for month number 2. The second loan I would start working on is the family loan because of the large monthly payment of $1,000 and the low balance of $8,000 compared to the other loans here. So remember, in month number 1, this number here of $1,000 was included in the expenses. So they should have paid in month number 1, they should have already paid $1,000 to that family loan. So now they would only owe $7,000. So we would go in and pay the whole $3,400 to the loan. And remember, they still have $1,000 that they're paying for this month too. So we're actually paying $4,400 because remember, this number is accounted for here. So we're paying this and this to that loan. So now that loan balance would be down to $2,600. Now month number 3, remember we had $2,300 and we freed up $600 from the taxes. So we have $2,900. Nothing transferred over because we used it all to pay down this loan. So we had $2,600 that we owe on the family loan here. So we go in month number 3, that loan is paid off. And we also free up $1,000 here. So we really had $3,900. We go in and we pay $2,600. So we have $1,300 going into month number 4. The family loan is paid off. We freed up cash flow of $1,600 on top of the $2,300. So we have $1,300 left over from month number 3, plus the $2,300 cash flow that we started with, plus the $600 from the IRS, plus the $1,000 that we were paying to the family loan. So we have $1,300 plus $2,300 plus $600 plus $1,000. So we have $5,200 for month number 4 that we can pay to debt. Now we've paid off both of these loans here. Now we're gonna start on the Best Egg loan. Remember, we had been paying $700 a month for these 3 months here. So let's just say they were taking about $200 for interest. So let's say the balance was only going down $500 per month. For 3 months would be $1,500. So the balance would be at about $13,400. And then we can go in and pay this whole $5,200 to that loan. So the balance on this loan would now be $8,200. And remember, we still have a $700 payment that's going to that as well. So it's probably really, let's subtract 5. So $7,700 is probably what the balance would be if all this works this way. Now month number 5 and month number 6. Remember, we have the $2,300 plus the $600 from the IRS plus the $1,000 from the family loan. So we have $3,900 and $3,900 for month 6. which would pay off the remaining balance of the Best Egg loan. So by month number 7, we paid off the Best Egg, the family loan, and the IRS. So we had the $2,300 that we originally started with after we cut the spending, plus $600 from the IRS, plus $1,000 from the family loan, plus $700 now from the Best Egg loan. We have $2,300 plus $600 plus $1,000 plus $700, $4,600. Now we move on to the debt consolidation loan. And again, we've been paying $1,000 a month to this loan. So we've paid around $6,000 in payments to this loan. I don't know if there's interest on this, but let's just say that loan balance only went down $700 per month for 6 months. So $4,200. So we start at $16,900 minus $4,200. So let's say that's balance is down to about $13,000 in month number 7. Remember, we're still paying $1,000 a month. It's included in the expenses here. Let's say it only goes down $700 if there's interest. So that would be $12,300 after this payment. And then we have $4,600 cash flow that we can pay to the loan. So $12,300 minus $4,600. So now we have $7,700 that we owe on the debt consolidation. Month number 8 and month number 9, we'll still have the same cash flow amount of $4,600. And we're still paying $1,000 at least for this month until month 9 when we get it paid off here. So this loan should easily be paid off by month number 9 if we're following exactly what we have here. So we had $7,700. Remember month 8, we have $1,000 for the normal payment. Let's say it's only $700 if there's interest. So we had $7,700, that would bring it down to $7,000 minus the $4,600 that we had available cash flow to pay it, would bring the balance down to $2,400, and that's all we would owe in month 9 is $2,400. And we free up an additional $1,000 in cash flow. So by month 10, we've paid off all of these loans here, and we started with $2,300 a month cash flow. We added $600 from the IRS, $1,000 from the family loan, $700 from the Best Egg loan, and another $1,000 from the debt consolidation. So now our cash flow that we have every month is $5,600 in 10 months. So if they really go in and completely buckle down on their spending, 10 months is not that much time. I know they can do it if they really try. They can free up cash flow with paying off these loans that have these larger payments. And then if they have $5,600 per month, maybe they could start putting $2,000 of that into savings. Let's say they increase their spending by $600. That would still leave $3,000 that they could use to pay down debt. By paying off these loans, we free up $3,300 that they're no longer having to pay here. Now, of course, this is easier said than done. It's super easy to write out the math on paper. But like I said, if they buckle down and really do this for the next 10 months, they'll be in a completely different space than what they are now. Sometimes when we have a cash flow problem, we have to look at what the problem actually is. In this case, it didn't seem to be the credit cards. They only have $578 going to those every month, compared to $5,575 that they're paying in loan payments. So I think this should be their main priority for the next year. And then after those 10 months, 12 months, they should have that loan, this loan, this loan, and this payment here out of the way. Then they would have an additional $600 going to savings. So that would put them back up to about $1,000 a month. They could start spending a little bit more here if they do it carefully, which would put them back up to about where they were. And then they would still have $3,000 that could go to these loan payments here. And remember, when we look at the loans, we want to look at the loans with the bigger payments, but the lower balances. So if maybe these two loans here were about the same, let's call them both $30,000. We would want to pay off this one first because the payment is larger, so it frees up more cash flow if we do that. Now, I don't think these payments were the same, but that's how we look at loans when we're going to pay those off. But anyway, I think they can do this. It's not going to be easy. But again, this was a really good example of what happens when you increase your income, but don't have your spending under control. So just making more money does not always solve that problem. And that's all we have for today. Let me know if you have any questions about anything debt or credit related.